Hi, how are we doing? I'm making this video because I believe Faro Lady is good. I believe Faro Lady is the least niche tier, and I've seen a lot of people also complaining about how she sucks, how she's bad, how she's 50-50. But I'm here to prove that to you, Ron. Of course, I played all these games myself, by the way, just to show you that it's actually doable. Yes, it is in quick match, but at least I'm Griffin. I'm almost unicorn now, so it's a little bit on the mid-tier side, let's say. But overall, aside from that, right, this is also a follow-up from Sugushenka's video, in which I did take one of his window drop-down points away from him too. So do please make sure to watch that first before you watch mine, since it's more of a follow-up video. And of course, this video will be divided into 3 segments. First is early game, then it's mid game, and then it's end game. We'll also have a bonus part as well. But aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you do, why not leave a like? And if you're new around here, why not sub? Let's move on towards the video then. Early game. So for Faro Lady early game, the really good first point is that she's able to locate cipher machines immediately without wasting time. This is really good for team play as well, in all honesty, because like, you're going to be able to use your skills immediately. You're going to be able to see which cipher machine has been decoded and has not been decoded. It's all a part of Faro Lady's kit. But because of this, if you're playing in a team and you have a survivor spawning somewhere in which, you know, you can see that there's no cipher machine near them, you can just immediately tell them right away, oh, there's no cipher machines there. You need to rotate towards somewhere else where there's another nearby cipher machine, in which you can tell them. So like for early game, Faro Lady is especially good at this, and this works really well for herself and for her teammates as well. Second point for early game spawn really is just with the fact that even if it's just with the fact that even if there is area selection modes, for example in rank, right, sometimes the hunter may not necessarily chase you first. And then like usually when you do, of course, spawn immediately, a lot of the survivors would just go decode first, because like, you know, you're the container, they'd expect you to kite first. But then in the other case scenario, sometimes the hunter just wouldn't even be bothered to chase after you. Why? Because you may be spawning a very strong containment area, because you might just be too far away. There's just so many things to keep in mind as well. But you know, because of this, all survivors decode early game immediately, which means that if a survivor actually gets chased, that's not you, you can just steal their cipher machine immediately as well, and just, you know, speed up your own decoding deep speed boost by 25, 20, 15%. Now, of course, I don't know if a lot of people knows this, but if we compare Lawyer to Faro Lady, Lawyer takes 61 seconds to finish his first cipher machine. Meanwhile, Faro Lady takes Faro Lady takes 62 seconds if I'm not wrong. So there's like a 1/2 second difference. Especially with the fact that early game you can steal cipher machines immediately from your survivors, then you of course decode even faster compared to a Lawyer. Now then, in normal circumstances, she only does really take 62 seconds to finish off a cipher, but like if you compare it to normal survivors in which it takes them 81 seconds, it is still relatively fast. So then, like, you know, with her decoding, 10% decoding boost immediately on a new cipher machine, it's pretty good early game, honestly. Now then, aside from a early game spawn, let's see if you get chased immediately early game. In one sense, I feel like a lot of survivors don't really understand how to use kings properly. A lot of survivors are like, oh, you should 50-50, you should throw in one area and then you run in the other area, in which I would say, no, you shouldn't really do that. Basically for me, what I recommend for survivors to do really is just to throw cane out in one direction as if you're transitioning towards the nearest pallet or window, and then walk backwards, right? If you walk backwards, then it simply just means that it's basically like playing a magician. If you know how to play magician, you know for yourself, most of the time magician means, you know, would use your wand and then run backwards or run in the most, you know, unpredictable way possible. But for Faro Lady, since her trills persist for 3 seconds regardless of what happens, you could potentially just throw the trills out and then run backwards. And in this case now, the hunter will keep looking at your, fabricated trills, and then you're going to be able to pull a little bit more distance away. In which this actually leads up to our fourth point, which is it's pretty easy to actually trick the hunter out of range and to reset the timer of Cloak. Since Cloak's ability only activates when you're 18 meters within a hunter, if I'm not wrong, or 15 meters. It's a relatively short radius, which means that when you throw that 3-second cane out and you run backwards, your cloak progress will actually decrease as you're too far away from the hunter. Now, yes, if it's past 40%, it will get notified to the hunter, but even in that case scenario, right, during the time it's decreasing, it means that you have more time to contain it. You have more seconds now to utilize cloak. And what does that mean? That simply means that from 18 seconds, maybe you can buy up to, I don't know, maybe 21 seconds extra cloak time, maybe 24 seconds extra cloak time, or even just maybe more, right? So then, like, for early game containment, it's pretty easy, honestly, for a Faro Lady to be able to trick the hunter to get out of range and for her to, you know, prolong her invisibility form. Now on towards the fifth point. The fifth point really is just the fact that her items doesn't have cooldown. Her item does not have cooldown, and what does not having cooldown mean? Not having cooldown simply just means that you can spam these two items as much as you want, and it simply just also means that if you want to play it really weirdly, you can spam all three out immediately. I'm quite sure you can spam all three out immediately and then maybe create a fork or something, and then, like, you know, that's an even safer play, but I don't recommend it. But because of the fact that her item doesn't really have a cooldown, that's a pretty big plus. That's honestly a really big plus. And then on towards the next point. The next point is pretty good for Faro Lady, and let me explain to you why, right? Because, like, for Faro Lady, in a sense, it's really easy for her to actually loop around a single pallet where there is very short walls. Since her trills actually persist for 3 seconds, that simply just means that if you can loop around a wall or a pallet for 3 seconds, the trills remain there forever, and it's kind of really hard for hunters to actually predict where you are as well. So, like, you know, under the condition where you were like, oh, I don't really want to kite, or oh, I don't really know how to kite this hunter, if it's not Field's Gold, you're going to be able to, you know, rotate around a single pallet, right? Not a window, because if you vault through a window, it will cancel cloak, but like a single pallet without putting it down, and just keep rotating around there until you're like, oh, you know, I think I've had enough, or my cloak durability is about to end. I'm going to pull the pallet down and rotate towards the next nearby containment area to contain for even longer. The seventh point here for early game containment really is just with the fact that there is the 2-story jump down in which you can do. And what does that mean? It simply means that there are elevation effects when it comes to, you know, Faro Lady's cane ability. When you throw your cane down, like, you know, if there's a drop down area and you throw your cane down, the trail effect will also follow down as well. Then we have to be very careful here, and this is kind of where the 9th point comes in, and it's the fact that you should not throw your cane down a drop down area if there are walls or windows nearby, in which in this case it will actually not work. So just keep in mind, areas like Leo's memory drop down areas, yes, it will work. Areas like hospital drop down areas, the holes in the middle, yes, those will work as well. But like, if you're trying to drop down from 2-story areas where there are windows, not so much is what I would like to say. So then, like, the 9th point here is really just for everyone to be cautious. But the 10th point is, because of this, you can also use Faro Lady's cane ability to, you know, throw it up the stairs or down the stairs. They both work in similar ways. This is especially good in 2-story areas like Moonlit River Park 2-story areas, Leo's Memory 2-story areas, and just anywhere overall, really. Right, just anywhere overall, really, and it basically helps you out so much in the long run as well, because 3 seconds doesn't seem like a lot, but if you watch it in video right now, you're like, oh, in this 2-story drop down area in Leo's Memory, it does actually seem pretty far away. It does actually seem pretty far away now that I realize it, you know. So there's that. One of the other points is, right, if you honestly do get hit while you're looped, I won't lie to you, right, 40 seconds really doesn't seem that long. 40 seconds is actually quite short, especially with the fact that, you know, it goes into effect right after you get hit. Usually right after you get hit, you'll be able to contain at least 20-30 seconds and then force out blink, in which then I will say, hey, then that means you probably only around 10 to 20 seconds of cooldown for your cloak ability again, in which I will say I personally recommend bring companion effect, in which it increases movement speed boost by 28% for 2 seconds right after you get rescued. What does this mean? This means that you can definitely try your best to contain for as long as you can this time and try to get, you know, your cloak ability out just so you can rebound contain for even longer time. But if you don't, they will most likely rescue you for the second time anyways, because like in this case scenario, it really just depends on how you play it. If you 30 seconds left on towards cloak and 20-second tightener, you're probably just gonna think, look, I'm most likely not gonna contain for that long, and then the moment the hunter hits me, my cloak cooldown will be stopped anyway. So like for me right now, I do think, okay, how can I contain for a long time? How can I, you know, how can I basically buy more time for my survivors, and how do I think about rebound kite after the second rescue? Because usually during the first rescue, most of the times you probably wouldn't be able to get your cloak ability anyways, but after the second rescue you definitely should be able, especially with the fact that during tightener time your cloak abilities cooldown will go down unless you get hit, of course, by the hunter. Then that's kind of your own fault too. But most of the times as well, your cloak ability will kind of come back online during early containment as well, in which I will say, look, 40 seconds doesn't really look that long. I know it looks long, but it's not really that long, honestly. Now on towards mid to end game. So for mid to end game, there's some things I think I do need to clarify as well, and that is the fact that your you can locate the last cipher machine pretty easily. And what do I mean by that? Remember when we've talked about early game, we're able to locate cipher machines and see which cipher has been decoded or not? It kind of works the same way as well mid to end game. When you're playing solo queue, this works really well as well. You don't know where the last cipher machine is, you forgot to look at the survivor's pins, or your survivor just didn't pin where the last cipher machine was. And then like in this case scenario, all you need to do is to use your ability, find the last cipher machine immediately, and then get a primed, get a 3-man endgame, 4-man endgame, or just a guaranteed tie game if you want to. But you know, because of this, the next follow-up tip or point really is just the fact that it's very, very, very easy for Faro Lady to prime a cipher machine. All you need to do is to get a cipher machine primed, use your ability, and to check whether it's 98% decoded or 99% decoded. If it's 98% decoded, you can just, you know, tap the cipher machine for, you know, 0.5 seconds or 1 second and get off it. So then you know, okay, when my survivor gets hit, I can pop open the cipher machine immediately, which means we'll have an even easier endgame. Now, of course, for veteran and old players, oh, Kudo, this is just basic information. But you know, sometimes you do also make the mistake of priming it at 98%. It's better to prime at 99 than 98 most of the time as well, right? But this is also very beginner friendly too. And you know, that's honestly not a bad plus for Faro Lady too. Before we finish up the video, I just want to add 2 extra points as well. The first extra point is your rescue really isn't that bad, right? Your rescue really isn't that bad too. And you know, with that in mind, you usually use risky move persona trait, in which it increases your rescue speed by 40%. So in all actuality, you rescue at 120% speed. Right, you can rescue against single hit hunters pretty easily, aside from JoJo. Because like, you need to think about it this way, right? For Faro Lady, she can still rescue against single hit hunters, yes, but against chip hunters, maybe not. Chip hunters will be her nightmare when it comes to rescue, but she can kite chip hunters really well early game if she is first chase. But like, usually you kind of just have to pick and choose here, because you know, you can't win everything. You have a lawyer that's a decoder, and that's a container, and that's basically a rescuer because he doesn't get terror shocked. You're gonna probably have one survivor that cannot rescue against certain hunters. Yes, Faro Lady can rescue against the Geisha, can rescue against Bloody Queen, but maybe against double hit hunters like Reptilian and Tentacle Guy, it is still possible. It is still definitely possible, but it really relies on your reaction speed there too. And of course, last but not least, I think everyone kind of knows this as well, judging by the video we've seen so far, you can actually swap out your items. right? So like I've seen some people say, oh, maybe it's probably better for us to actually regenerate Faro Lady's items, in which I say, no, not really, because if you think about it this way, right, if we're going to regenerate her items, probably going to be 40 seconds per cane, in which you'll probably say, oh, that's not bad, in which I would say, yep, that's definitely not bad, but that's a bit too OP though, in my personal opinion. And like, for Faro Lady as well, you could just bring elbow pads towards her. You could just bring pocket watches, rugby balls, magician's wand, or even perfumes. But like, it's honestly also the fact that if you don't like her cane, you can swap it out immediately. You can just go look out for a chest and swap it out immediately. Why? Because there's no cooldown on her cane. We've talked about it before. There's no cooldown on her cane. So that's brilliant there for yourself too. But anyways, that's gonna be the end of this video. It's kind of a follow-up video from Sugu's video. You can go watch Sugu's video here. It's gonna be linked in the description. But of course, for me, myself personally here, I still do believe that Faro Lady is at least a solo ranker or a niche tier character. For me, she's a niche tier character just because she does have so much potential when it comes to containment as well. But for all of you, maybe you changed your mind, maybe you didn't. But of course, that's going to be the end of the video for today. Have a good day, everyone, and hopefully you liked this video. Please like and sub if you did. Bye-bye for now. Have a good day. Good night.